Yes, and the dialogue now that you mentioned never stops. There is not a one size fits all. So showing the data is key. Right balance between personalization and scale. No, and the plan is not set in stone. It's not an account-based marketing. It's an account-based everything. How much time do we have?
Welcome to Blueprint, the B2B marketing podcast. My name is Jakub, and today I have a great pleasure of hosting Angel Bujanda, Head of Customer Engagement Programs, VMware. Angel, great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Today we're going to talk about account-based marketing. Using this great opportunity that I have you here on the show, I'd like to ask you to, help me understand what account-based marketing is. Is this, because I'm hesitant between looking at this as a type of, let's say, fairly recent hot thing in marketing, like a trend everyone should look at, versus a type of a strategy that actually goes beyond marketing and covers the whole organization. So how should I understand it?
How much time do we have? The entire interview for this question?
Go ahead.
It will be a long conversation, but it will be too self-centric to think that account-based is marketing, right? Pure marketing. Or even that it started in marketing. If you look at the B2B space, like decades ago, they have had account executives. And they call them account executives for a reason, right? Sometimes they have several accounts, but if the company is large enough, sometimes they are dedicated to one single account, right? And that account-based mentality already existed in the B2B space when all the tactics and strategies that work really well on the B2C space transition to the enterprise space, they needed to be adapted to that account-based reality. And that's what happened, right? And it transpired. It's not an account-based marketing. It's an account-based everything, right? We talk about ABX. When a customer engages with an account or engages with us, they don't think if they engage with marketing when they go to our website or to sales when they take a meeting. They are looking for a solution to a problem that they have. And that customer, furthermore, cannot even make, in the B2B space, they cannot even make that decision on their own, right? It's a buying committee at the end of the day that is going to make that decision. So we need to account for that in our strategy, and we need to engage with those customers from all the different angles, and we need that coordination. So it definitely goes beyond marketing. In ABM, what we are trying to do is to find that right balance between personalization and scale.
It's I like how you phrase it. I thought you would speak about this as something that is totally new, and we should be just looking at it just to understand. But you say this is actually a philosophy that has been a long time existent in the business. So this is about experience, like providing utmost experience to the audience. This is how I look at that. But obviously, for many of us, this sounds like a fairly new concept. And in your view, like from your experience, what are the key challenges in the rollout of the account-based approach across the whole organization? Where are the pitfalls?
I will say that the main challenges were you are rolling out or trying to implement. The first one is to try to get at the right level of altitude. It's of paramount important to be at that level of altitude at pretty much C-1 in your company or C-level, right? When that discussion is held and align at that like high-level company strategy. So it needs to be a full alignment with like the head of sales, the CMO, right? Even the COO. If you have a chief revenue officer, like that's the level where the strategy and the go-to-market needs to be agreed upon and what the account-based marketing discussion needs to happen. So that's number one. Another key challenge that I encounter over the years is a mindset challenge. And this one is a little bit harder to explain, but like pretty much I work in sales. Anybody listening to us who has worked in sales, they know very well that the hardest thing is to acquire new customers, right? So when you come to the table and you have this discussion and we as sales, like what should we focus on? They're like, oh, I'm struggling the most acquiring customers. You need to focus on that. However, it may not be the best use of resources, right? It totally depends on your company strategy, right? You may decide to focus on existing opportunities, or you may decide to focus on bringing new opportunities. And bringing more opportunities is not necessarily a better choice or something that is going to contribute more to your bottom line than like focusing on existing opportunities. I'm going to give you an example. Like, I don't know if our listeners will follow, but like, pretty simple. Let's say that the company has 100 million in pipeline, right? And we close, our close rate is 25%, right? So we end up with 25 million in revenue at the end of the year. And we need to make that decision, focusing on bringing new opportunities. And we will bring 10 new million in pipeline next year, or we will need to focus on improving that close one rate. We will improve the close one rate by 5% next year, right? So if we bring 10 new millions to the pipeline, 25% close rate, right, is 2.5 million on incremental revenue. If we go the other way around and we improve 5 percentage points our close one rate, even if we do not change like the pipeline, right, we end up with that 100 million, we close 30 million, right? And that's 5 million on incremental pipeline. That's twice as much, right? For the same investment in marketing. So I think that that's another key aspect. And the last one is probably the managing expectations on time horizon, right? We need to understand that like with long buying cycles, with like if we put like 1-to-1 like ABM programs, it takes time, and we need to manage those expectations since the very beginning, and not expect like results the next quarter.
Yeah, I like those replies. It looks like with an account-based marketing, you're really strategic about choosing where you invest your effort. So it's not about winning any deal you can win, but really, let's say, qualifying and disqualifying the potential leads you could be working from. So you get the most revenue within a limited amount of time that you have. So that's smart, and I think this is very practical. ABM stands for account-based, which links with personalization, and obviously this topic is thrown a lot in marketing, by marketers. But in the context of ABM, what this personalization really means, and how do you make sure that you actually deliver this type of content that feels personalized practically?
So there are two main areas where personalization plays a key role, right? And again, it's different in this like B2B like space. You need to have a high level of personalization at the account level, the account message, right? Tailoring that message to your customer business objectives, that's key. And there is another level that is equally important. We talked before about the decisions, how are they made, the buying committees, right? You are going to have people that are going to have that decision-making power, and it's not going to be just one person, it's going to be several, and you're going to have people that are in that sphere of influence. So the message need to be custom to those individual objectives too, right? They are often in like different departments, they're in different teams, they have totally different objectives, sometimes like even like on the opposite side of the spectrum.
Easier said than done. I mean, like practically, how do you how do you deploy the personalization aspect? How in practical terms you can execute this personalized strategy?
So it all starts with like with defining your strategy, right? What's your company strategy? That's number one. There is not a one size fits all, right? We all are in different industries, right, with different dynamics. So the number one aspect is, as a general rule, and I know that there is no like one size fits all. I just said that, but like as a general rule,
I wish.
we had that magic recipe. But I will say that like as a general rule, the higher the value added by your product, right? The higher the price tag, the higher or the longer the buying cycle, the higher the level of personalization needed, right? So that's the first thing to understand. So when you go to the highest level of personalization, when you go to one-to-one ABM, it requires a lot of effort up front to make that happen. So the first phase, you may spend like 2-3 months on the first phase that is pure discovery, and you are doing nothing, right, for 3 months. And it's really hard to have a team that are all type A personalities, really proactive, right, really driven, to have them 1 month focusing on gathering information, understanding really well the account, gathering information that we have within in the company from different teams, gathering from the internet, getting like different vendors that we use to get that information, boil it down to the essence. Once you have that map, the people in the buying committee, like for different accounts, we have mapped more than 100 people, right? And then label all of them. Are they champions? Are there detractors? Are they neutral, right? Are they unaware? And then you start personalizing, right? And who are the people that are going to be key making that decision and they are not on board, right? And we need to target there. Who are the people that can influence those people, right? So you go one level down and the message is different. So that's how you do all the personalization.
It all sounds like you need to have a lot of patience, to do it, and really like diligence in terms of digging for content. Really, like, I mean, I understand tools can help, but it sounds like really a lot of work on planning. So I already understand what is ABM. Now I would like to understand how to plan my strategy. Can you break down the process into steps? How you plan the ABM strategy at VMware?
Yeah, we follow a pretty structured process at that respect, right? With 5 phases. The first phase, as I just like told you, is the discovery phase, right? It may take 2-3 months. And in that phase, pretty much what we do is within an account, we have different teams working in an account. It may be the account directors, it may be the system engineers, it may be the technical account managers. We have success, customer success. So bringing everybody together, getting all that information, all internal information that we have, and then, as I said, like all external information from different sources, mapping the buying committee, listing, and it's just listing at this in this part of the process, right? Listing the customer business objectives and goals.
And practically, because you say something that's really interesting, like getting everyone to share what they know, but in practical terms, who is this everybody? I mean, because you're a massive organization, how do you, I mean, who you need to really engage to get out those insights?
So for us, right, and it may vary depending on your industry, but like for us, we start with the account director, right, which is in charge of the relationship and sales for the account. We bring the software engineers, which know the customer environment, have the technical knowledge. We bring the technical account managers. We bring the customer success people, and we bring even support, because they have a lot of information on like historical challenges that the customer may have been facing.
Well, quite amazing, because I think as a marketer, and I think many of us, like we move around the world of LinkedIn with like everyone, like white collar people, like business executives, and even in tech companies, those, the creators of the solution, software engineers, they are somewhere like in the back office. But here I spotted that you mentioned like sourcing insights, so sourcing information about the client from the technical team as well, support team or engineers. And I think this is very valuable. Typically, I many times understood ABM as a consensus sessions between marketers and salespeople, totally ignoring, the technical guys. And I think this is very valid. Okay, so we do the research, we collect all this information, and now what?
And then we need to boil it down. Now we have too much information, right? So we need to boil it down to the essence. And we need to work on the message. And in order to do that, the first thing is we have listed our customer business goals and objectives, right? But now we need to distill it to which ones are the most important for them, and then build the value proposition and the message around that. And not only that, when it has been built, and this is probably the key part of this process, is play it back. We go and we play it back to sales, but we play it back to our technical account managers, our system engineers. We play it back and we all align around like one message.
Who decides? Because you said you've got too much information, you need to distill it down, like boil it down to something that is like more manageable. Who is deciding on that? Is it like marketers that make a decision which, let's say, which part of the data set is actually something that we build on as an insight?
Yeah, the heavy load on distilling that information, yes, is on marketing without a doubt, right? And to put in that like umbrella message and value proposition, where like then you can build different like messages or even like different plays for the same account. However, in this process is key again to play it back. We play it back to sales, we play it back to the task, we play it back to the system engineers, and they give us their feedback and if it's going to resonate or not. And once we have done that and refine it, we usually, when we do this well and we have like the opportunity or the privilege of having a champion within the customer, we play it back to the customer. It's like, hey, Mr. Customer, is this your company? Are those your problems? Is this what you're trying to solve, right? Before like we are even starting the campaign, right? And we get the customer feedback and we incorporate it in the message.
So very much sounds like a dialogue. Typically you would be just planning a campaign and then rolling a campaign and then seeing if the campaign works. From what you say, it's more like a dialogue, data collection, distilling the data, validating within different audiences, seeing if the client actually resonates with that. So I think it's really amazing.
Yes, and the dialogue now that you mentioned never stops. Like you think that you have finished your like planning and now you're going to execution, and you're like, okay, plan my entire year, because we plan like for one-to-one campaigns like an entire like year touch points, and I'm done. But the reality is totally different. You go and you execute the first part, and you go back to and you go back to
Exactly. You're never done with communicating with your audience, because you want to play long term.
no. And the plan is not set in stone. You still plan the entire year, but like after a month, you go back to the strategy and planning, like reshuffle, right, and change the plan and so on.
Great. So you're finally ready. You put it into execution. You use any tools, or what will be the next step?
So you execute right through the different like channels where you have like sales engagements, you have your like market engagements, you may have like your events, you may have your like dedicated assets that you create, maybe like executive decks, it may be dedicated white papers, wherever it is. And once you are executing and finalize with that execution, which will be phase 4, then you go into measuring the results. So you start measuring early success indicators, and then you start measuring like final indicators, right? We measure on 3 areas pretty much. One is relationships. So pretty much how many active contacts we have at the right level in that company that are engaging with us. Then we measure engagement, which is the level, the quality of that engagement, right? We're going to give points to the people that spend more time with us. It's not the same to click on an online ad than like to attend a live event. And we assign quantitative points to that. And it's not the same to have a practitioner engaging with us than to have the chief, like for the infrastructure, right? Or the CTO. So we give more points to that too. But those are all early success indicators. At the end of the day, we tie to revenue, right? Can we increase the deal size? Can we increase the velocity of that deal? And can we close the deal?
This is CRM related, like very, very close to sales, right? Very close to the final business outcome.
Yes. We all have access, and all the marketers have access to the CRM and see like in real time, right? All the comments that are in the opportunity, what is going on, how is evolving, like the size, how it's moving through the different phases.
Anything else on analytics in terms of metrics or qualities?
No, just like the clear thought that like as marketers we need to tie our programs to revenue. It's key, it's paramount, right? If we want to sit at the table, we need to tie the programs to the bottom line. Is the only way to have a guarantee seat at the table.
Yeah, but you opened this topic of ABM analytics with the qualitative analysis, and I think for many marketers this seems very counterintuitive, that you focus on quality, not quantity. Sometimes you feel like you have those high KPIs to reach. Well, how to tackle that? I mean, how to speak within your organization to convince that it's not about the quantity but the quality?
You need to bring numbers to the table.
I mean, do you have any, let's say, specific evidence that you can show that this type of approach really benefited your endeavor, your project?
The key data, right, that we use is we measure engagement, and it's an early success indicator, as we said to start with. And we know that like after companies close a certain threshold of engagement in points, and again, like we measure that in a way where we assign certain points to different activities, right? And I'm going to give you like top up button as an example, like clicks on an online ad will be like 1 point. If you are attending a live event, it will be 50 points. And then you will rank like webinars, white papers, like any other kind of engagement in between, right? And then you will multiply that by the quality of that engagement, right? You have the time, and then you have the quality depending of like you have a practitioner or if you have a C-level executive on the other side. So we're gonna get like 1 point and like 10 points to an executive, and you're gonna multiply one by the other, and it's gonna give you a number. With that number, you aggregate all the engagements for the account at account level, right? And then you have the account engagement. When that engagement reaches a certain threshold, right, we know that our close rate grows like 3x, right? So it's big.
So it's like you reach like a tipping point that you believe that after this moment the client is, I don't know, aware enough or like educated enough, or has the preference for your brand.
For our solution. Yeah, that's exactly right. And then the deal size grows by like 22%. So versus customers that like may even like close the deal, right? But we have not gotten at that level of engagement. So showing the data is key. That's key. But if you can't, because you are starting, right? Then you're gonna have to rely on sales satisfaction, and you're gonna have to convince sales, or you're gonna have to find a champion yourself within sales, right? If possible, reporting to the head of sales, right? If he's not the head of sales, because he's not like bought in, then like find somebody reporting to the head of sales, have them leading, have them presenting the program, have them being the sponsor and the face and the voice. And when they experience and they are seeing the results, then it's easier to expand in the rest of the organization because you have a pilot, you have proof the point, you have proof of concept that was successful.
Great. Okay, Angel, thanks so much. What is the achievability index? Is it like probability of success or?
Yeah, so yes, pretty much. So when we do the account selection, we score the accounts on 3 different areas, right? The first one is the opportunity index, and we measure things of like more like thermographics, right? How many employees, how many was the revenue, like their growth, and all that. It's just like a way to size the opportunity. The second one is the achievability index, which we say like how likely it is that we can close this. And it depends on like the relationships that we have, the numbers of contacts, how much they're engaging with us, how entrenched is the competition, and so on. It is key too, because you don't want to waste your resources, right? You, as a marketer, like your job is to maximize your budget and have the maximum return of investment. So you don't want to waste your resources. And that's why that piece is there as part of the account selection. And then there is another piece that is key too, is the collaboration index, which is how involved and how much work the sales team for that specific account has already put into that, right? And we have different parameters that we measure, we quantify too.
Now I know what ABM is. I know what is the process. Can you share an example of a campaign that was successful in your case, just that we can illustrate it with a specific?
I can. So let me think. There is one. Well, there's one campaign that won the national advertising award. So let me focus on that one. This is a large U.S. conglomerate that was going through a process of divestiture and separation in different branches. Honestly, probably didn't pass our account selection process. To be honest with you, we had like an ICP that we created that it was pretty clear, and the achievability index, that is something that we measure, probably didn't pass at the time. But going back to GE, like it didn't pass the achievability, it was because they were reducing costs. They were in a process where they were splitting to focus on like the different business. So their objective was to separate the different branches, but reduce 40% cost in 3 years. So this is a situation when there are a lot of losers and really few winners, right? But sales pushed really hard, and the account team was really committed, and I remember that like really well. And finally we said like, okay, we will give you this one in the there's always a negotiation process there, right? So we'll give you this one and we'll work on this one. We started working on that one. Again, we went through the entire process, mapped more than 100 people in that account, specifically categorize them, get all the information. When we put the message together, pretty much we started with an executive deck. That executive deck was explaining the why, right? Why us, that we are the most expensive solution in the market when you are trying to reduce costs by 40%. And we were pretty much proving that like we can achieve cost saving by like reducing capital expenses, operational expenses. So it's just like at the high level why presentation. That gave us that opened the door for us to present at the CTO console. We had not been able to present there in 2 years, right? But that document, it was exactly fitting to what they were trying to achieve, right? Separate the branches. So we were talking about the flexibility that we were providing, and how they can play it in different scenarios, and the other one reducing costs. Once we got there, we doubled down because we were like, okay, we are on the right track, right? We presented here, we did a white paper. It's like the how, okay? Yeah, we told you why. You just like, that's how are you gonna get there? How are you gonna deploy this? And it was a more extensive, again, dedicated white paper. That gave us a longer meeting with different executives. We put a proof of concept in place. And then the next step was like, all right, we have a proof of concept. We know that the results will be good, but they may still need reassurance because it's a big investment in an environment when you're reducing costs. So we put all hands on decks to make sure that they come to explore. That is our big event. So they can hear from other customers of the same size, right? And pretty much is that like anxiety or like have like less risk perception. So we work on that. That was a big sales and marketing collaboration. And when we said like we work on that, like, yes, we did the LinkedIn campaign and tried to bring as many practitioners too, but like we crafted the emails for our CEO to send directly to their like executives. From our COO, from our head of sales, right? Everybody was involved in that campaign. It was not like just marketing. We got them to the show, then they invited us to their own like show where we sent our CTO, right? So that's the level of coordination that requires across the entire organization. And we ended up closing the deals as to that. But it was not a marketing closing the deal. Marketing like help a little bit there, like to help to close the deal and to orchestrate, right, the different like teams in the company. We all work towards that, especially the account teams and the sales teams and the technical.
This is amazing. I mean, it sounds like, I would say a military operation. You coordinate so many things at so many levels, strategically, operationally. This is really crazy. And you got me shocked when you said that you are actually investigating 100 people on the side of the account. So I was often thinking that, focus on the account is about speaking to, let's say, 5 or 10 people, executives in the buying committee, but you actually go very, very broadly, very much beyond that. These are tens or hundreds of people, right?
There is a lot of people. Like it also depends on the size of the account, right? This account was massive.
Obviously.
So they have different branches. They have green energies, they have aerospace, they have healthcare, they had manufacturing within the same customer. And every branch was gonna separate and create their own independent infrastructure. Therefore, we have a lot of decision makers and a lot of influencers. But yes, the buying committees are in large enterprise. In my industry, they are large. They are really large.
Amazing. Angel, I think that, when I look at marketing, well, digital marketing, there are many tactics or many activities that we execute as marketers that are, I think, very much driven by the availability of technology that can enable that. So let's say marketing automation, lead generation, even content marketing. I mean, those concepts were developed because there was an enabling technology, that was just making this happen. How is it with ABM? Is it also very much reliant on marketing tools, some kind of solutions? And if so, do you use any of those?
So let me start with like technology is paramount and key, right, for marketing. If you are not leveraging, your competition will, and they will have an edge. That's what happens. So that's key. At the same time, technology for the sake of technology is not useful. It's not only not useful, it's wasteful. You need to start with the company strategy and what you are trying to achieve, right? And that's the core. In my career, I've seen plenty of times where we have bought a tool and then you have a solution looking for a problem like that cannot find.
Exactly, yeah.
So with that in mind, like for ABM specifically, we leverage like different like tools in the discovery phase to say, so we leverage LinkedIn Navigator, we leverage Zoom Info, we leverage Pipeline IQ, Barroom. So all those give us the information that we need to get like the right foundation to get the campaign going. That's key. On the execution piece, we also leverage different technology.
But it doesn't sound like there is one single tool that you need to have to make it happen. It looks like it's a thoughtful composition of various channels and let's say enablers.
Yeah, it's you will need for execution once you move there, especially it's an entire like marketing stack, right? That you need. There are others that are like more specific. ABM. So we use follows, for example, like build like a specific content, like to put like messaging in front of sales. And then we use other like to measure. Like back in the day, we use Engager that was bought by Demand Base, and they build all that system on measuring engagement.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you have all your typical execution tools, right? You're gonna have your marketing automation tool, whether you use Eloqua, Marketo, HubSpot, or whatever it is. You're gonna use your webinars. You're gonna have the typical.
I see. That's helpful, I guess, because I also feel that we if you actually create problems to a solution, you try to plan what you do just to feed the machine with some kind of data or instructions, not keep thinking why you are actually doing that. If someone is just starting out with account-based marketing, what is the area they should focus on out of all things we discussed today?
What's the area that they should focus on? They should focus on understanding their company strategy. Number one, without a doubt. First of all, is account-based marketing right for you? Yes or not, right? It needs to serve your company goals and it needs to align with that. And it may not be. The second piece, once you decide that it is, you need to gain buy-in. Nobody can do this alone. And if you don't have like to start with like sales on your corner, 100% buy-in, understanding that this is a long-term strategy, you will not be successful. It's an uphill battle and almost like a sure loss battle if you don't end up like having sales on your side. And the third one, I'll probably say, and we talk about this a little bit, but it's measure and tie your programs to revenue, right? Then you will be playing in a different league. If you want to play on the run the business league, you can keep measuring volume and other metrics that are not tied to revenue. But if you want to be strategic, play in the strategic league, play a strategic role for your company, be involved in the key conversations, then tie your progress to revenue.
Amazing. Angel, thank you so much for joining. Dear viewers, please take this richness of wisdom from Angel and put it into play. If you have any questions, be sure to ask them below and also follow and subscribe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jakub. Have a good one.
Thanks, Angel.